If you're playing drums in a band, there's a few things your bandmates likely want you to know. They might be too nice to tell you to your face, but trust me, they're thinking it. They're not trying to be mean, and it's not an intervention per se, but I'm going to tell you a couple of things today that you can do today. You can fix them right now that are going to make your rehearsals go better, your gigs go smoother, and your bandmates honestly enjoy playing with you just a little bit more. So let's get into it. My name's Keith, and this is Common Sense Musician, and this video might be the most common sense video ever because it's stuff you likely already know. Maybe you just need a reminder. So the first thing on my list today is to know when to play and when not to play. Obviously, if the band is rehearsing, fire away, man, do your thing. But there are definitely times when, as a drummer, it's hard to sit still and not play the instrument that's in front of you, but you gotta sit on your sticks. One of the top examples is during a sound check. There is nothing more frustrating than trying to dial in your guitar tone or get something in tune or level set, or even have an important discussion if the drummer is just blasting away on something. I mean, I am a drummer and I love my instrument, but you gotta know when it's your turn and when it's not your turn. Especially if you're working with a sound engineer, listen to their instructions. Do exactly what they tell you to do and then shut up. Make zero noise with your instrument. Just listen, observe what's going on, pay attention. Number two is maybe gonna feel a little personal. I know that it does sometimes for me, but your band might be thinking that you only have one dynamic level and it's loud. There are a lot of drummers out there that hit the drums like they're trying to win an MMA fight. But dynamics are part of the language of music. There's a time and a place for loud, and there's also a time and a place for soft, gentle, and sensitive. Dynamics is one of the biggest tools that we as drummers have for expression and emotion. One of the ways I think about my job as a drummer is to support everything that's going on, whether that's the vocals or the solo or even just laying down the groove in a way that feels good for the rest of the band and for the listener. Of course, there's a time and a place for a monster fill, but it's not every fill. 99% of the time, your job as a drummer is to make the rest of the band comfortable and to make the song sound great. So pay attention to that dynamic level. Listen to what's going on. Number three, you might take personally as well. I know that when this reality finally hit me, it was a slap in the face, but your band might be wondering why you bring so much gear to every gig and why you're so obsessive about it. I mean, imagine the guitar player bringing like a full stack and 4 electric guitars and 3 acoustics and a baritone guitar and a mandolin to like a coffee shop gig. It's overkill. So to you, the drummer, and to me sometimes, do you really need 5 toms, both bass drums, 2 snare drums, 6 crashes, a rack of cowbells, wind chimes? Do you really need all that stuff? If it's part of your band's sound and vibe, and it really is crucial to what you're trying to achieve, then absolutely bring it on. But a lot of times, I think you can get away with less. For the average gig, especially if you're hired on as a side musician, as I am a lot of the time, bring the gear that makes sense for the gig, logical sense and musical sense. Candidly speaking, I'm always way more impressed with a drummer who absolutely crushes it on a small setup than a drummer that overplays on a kit that's the size of a spaceship. On that note, your band would probably like to tell you that you can stop overplaying on every song. Drummers are notorious for this. If you do bring the ultra large setup, you feel like you have to justify it. So you end up playing a million notes and playing all these crazy fills and grooves that utilize every part of that kit that you brought. And again, if that's what makes sense for your music, say you're like a prog band, rock band, metal band, fusion band, and it makes sense to play all that stuff, then absolutely. I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm just saying there can be a tendency to overplay when the musical setting really doesn't call for it. I think all of us have spent time in the practice room building those chops and building those licks and fills and grooves, and we feel like we have to use them on the gig. I would say, first off, I don't think you do. I think there's a time and a place for some of that. But also the very, very best drummers, even the drummers who play a million notes, they make it sound like they're not playing a million notes. It still feels really, really groovy and really tasteful. And I also totally get that sometimes when you are a highly skilled musician, laying down a simple backbeat can seem boring on its face, but I would encourage you to really lean into that. See how good you can make the groove feel. And then when you do play that monster fill or that cool lick, let it mean something. Serve the song. Pay attention to what you're doing. All right, this next one seems really small, but I cannot tell you the number of times that it has made the situation either better or worse, and that is when you leave your drum kit, turn off the snares. It is amazing how much sound can be generated from that snare drum when somebody plays the right chord or a bass note or even sings a vocal line and that snare drum lights up like Christmas, aurally, sound-wise. It's not good for anybody. So here's what I recommend. Treat it like a seatbelt. Sit down at the kit, turn the snares on. Stand up from the kit, turn the snares off. And if you want to take that even to an advanced level, look for ways to turn your snares off even if you're sitting at the kit. If you're not actively playing, it's a section of the song where you're out or something like that, turn the snares off. Do it with intention and practice it so you can do it quietly. Your band won't even notice, but things will be better, even if they don't know why. They're gonna like it more. They're gonna like you even more than they already do. Okay, if you've made it this far in the video, drop me a comment. Tell me what I left off my list or maybe something that's on my list that you don't think should be. And I've got one more bonus tip for you. And this one, again, it's a small thing, but it can make a huge difference. It is time, as a professional, to stop twirling and flipping your sticks. Yeah, I said it. Unless it is part of your band's identity, it's part of your stage show, just stop. The stick twirling and the stick flipping, it makes you look like you're in the 6th grade band still. If you nail these things that I'm talking about on the list, the musicians that you play with are gonna love you even more. You might get called back more, gigs will go better, and you'll gain a reputation for being a pro and someone who's easy to work with. I hope this video was helpful for you and that it at least made you think. I really appreciate you spending a few minutes with me today. If you wouldn't mind, drop a like, and if you aren't already, subscribe to the channel. It really, really helps. I'll see you on the next one.